Hello, hams around the world and those who would like to be. I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. But what we're going to do in this video is fix the Hex Beam. I have a Hex Beam sitting out on a 20-foot pole in the backyard, and the ultraviolet light at 7,000 feet has not been kind to it. It's about 5 years old, built by MFJ. And they sent it to me to do a review, which I did, and I've since used it as my directional antenna. It has about 6 dB of gain. So the problem was that there were little parts in there that were breaking loose because of the UV. They were just plastic things holding the wires, and eventually the UV got to them and destroyed them. We replaced those all the way around the antenna. We had tried doing a repair earlier, but it didn't quite work out, so I went down to Ace Hardware and got some new clamps to hold the wires down. Now what these do is they're designed to hold cable TV cable in place, and we put them there, and now the wires of the antenna can go through them quickly. I'm going to show you a few charts, a little bit of a video, and then we'll come back. Let's take a look. This picture right here is taken from the MFJ catalog. It's for a slightly bigger Hex Beam, but you get the idea. You've got these 6 things going out here, okay, and there's one on the other side, and the wires are connected to it. There's a set of wires that come up in here and then go to the center where they are fed, and then you see the little spacer, and then behind it and coming around the other way is the reflector. So it's a 2-element beam. It has the driven element and the reflector. Now this is where we were this morning. In fact, this picture was taken this morning. It's a clip from a video just to show you the things that are going on. This is the antenna, and you can see how tall it is. It's big, it's heavy, it's hard for one person to lift, so both Teagan, my assistant, and I put that thing up. There's a little step ladder, very stable. I acted as safety observer while he was getting the thing up off the ground where we had repaired it and putting it back on top of the mast. This is the rotator right here. This right here is the mast. Right here. 20-foot long piece of Schedule 40 aluminum pipe, I think about 1.25 inches in diameter on the outside. And it is one sturdy piece of aluminum. And it's held that thing up there. The highest wind we've seen since it's been up is 58 miles an hour. We don't have that high of winds out here. Now, when we originally put it up, this thing right here was designed as a pivot and something to hold it to the ground. But we had to have a very strong person get under this and walk it up. Well, we decided to take the easier way out. I've seen this referred to often as a gin pole. Sometimes it's referred to as a derrick. I can't find an exact explanation of it, but you'll note that there is a rope attached from the end of the pole to where the guys attach to this antenna. So if I pull back on this, and you can see I'm actually bending the pipe a little bit, that's pulling on this, which pulls the antenna up much easier. Then there's rope down here to the ground. Now, when I put this in, I put stakes on, you can see one right there, and here, put stakes there so that I could attach ropes to these so that this pole could only go in one direction, up and back, and not go to the side, okay? And while we had the thing in this position, there's a rope here to the guy rope stake here. So what we're going to do is pull this back and put it in position. I've got the video of it actually happening. Here was the problem. First of all, this is the fiberglass pole. Now, these fiberglass poles should have a nice shiny coating to them, but in the UV up here, it's completely destroyed the coating, and you can see individual pieces of fiberglass just hanging around, waiting to get into your hands and make your fingers itch. Then the wire for the antenna comes through here, okay, and these are the little clips we replaced them with. And you say, wait a minute, those are plastic. You'll have the same problem with those in 5 years. And the answer is yes, I probably will, but they're really cheap, so I got them. Now, there are pieces of wire that were lost. So this is some wire about the same diameter. This is the wire for the antenna. We took the wire in here, wrapped it around the connector, back in, and then went ahead and crimped it. Now on some of these here, I went ahead and soldered the wire to the connector so it wouldn't come loose, because some had come loose. And this is just a piece in number 40 hardware, 2 washers and a bolt and a nut underneath that are tightened up to hold these together. In actually putting this together, you can see where we are going to take the antenna, which is on the ground. We're going to lift it up, and after a little bit of effort, get the thing lined up and then onto the pole. The next thing Teagan has to do is go up and tighten all of the clamps that clamp that thing to the mast. And the big box you see underneath it is the rotator. We put this thing up, got it nice and tight up. The next thing we had to do was fiddle around and get the connector reattached to the antenna's connector and wrap it so that it would be waterproof. And then the next task was to get the thing upright. With the gin pole, or whatever it's called, it's another piece of Schedule 40, 1 1/4 inch outer diameter aluminum pipe, very thick, very heavy. But all I had to do was pull that forward. Teagan pushed up on the antenna and very quickly got it upright and tied it off. Now the next thing we had to do, of course, was test it. This is using the Nano VNA, and the ham bands are in pink, 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10. And you can see down here that we had good results. This is the 2-to-1 right here. Okay, now let's look at each band individually. On 17 meters, we get excellent results. Here's the 2-to-1 line right here, and we're way down here under 1.14 all the way across the band. Does very well. On 15 meters, we have the same kind of thing, 1.14 all the way across the band. Very nice. On 12 meters, the same. Here's 2-to-1. It's up a little bit higher, under 1.3-to-1 across the band. And on 10 meters, it covers very nicely the bottom part of the band. Now, 28 to 28.7, most of the activity will be there, except for FM. The FM repeaters start at 29 megahertz. There's 3 channels here. You see the SWR goes up, but it's still under 2-to-1 across the entire band. So there we are. I'm very pleased with the result. The antenna went up fairly easily, although Teagan here put an awful lot of work into it. He had to change out every single one of those little wire clips, and there were 30 total. And we got the thing back up. Everything's working. I even put a little time in on it myself, getting some wires straightened out. Now, it's up, and we've shown that the SWR test results are good. I'll let you know as I use it on the air how well it works. I think it works quite well. And there you have it. It's fixed. It's up. And those clips are good for another 5 years, as long as those poles don't completely shred apart. So if you'd like to help support this channel, can you afford $2 a month? Go to patreon.com/KE0OG and sign up for the $2 a month entry. Man, that would sure make a difference to me. So there you go. Until we next meet, 73.